Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of 100% You, a podcast which is all about discovering who you're truly meant to be and becoming the best version of yourself. In today's episode, we'll talk about knowing what we want, why it can be hard, how to discover what we really want, how to be specific, how to navigate fear and resistance, and the power of manifestation. So, let's start with today's episode. I'm very excited. I just want to be clear with you guys. I'm still keeping it as a secret. No one except from one friend knowing that I'm recording a podcast. And it's the second episode, as I told you, and literally all I've been doing in the past week and a half is a lot of working, of course, but in the evenings I'm working on the podcast, which is writing the outline to each and every episode, think about the branding of the episodes. The entire today is Sunday, and yesterday and on Friday, like the entire weekend, I was actually thinking about all the topics that I want to talk about. I was writing notes to what I want to record on Thursday. I recorded the first episode and then I edited the first one and the introduction, and also wrote to myself what type of reels I wanted to create because I didn't like how I looked like in the first episode. So I was like, okay, I need to take everything into consideration. I'll just need to do it, and each and every episode I'll try my best to do it better than the previous one. This is still a secret. I started loving this concept of not telling people what I'm doing. It feels kind of special. Plus, I feel like I got this momentum during this week. I've been listening to a lot of affirmations. Usually I do meditations every day, and now I tried something new. I do activations, which is basically like meditations but a little bit different. It's more with affirmations and different sounds. The whole point of like meditation and the sound is to activate something within us. So I've been loving this activations tracks, and I don't know, I feel like I got into this identity of I'm owning a podcast, and it feels something that is very me. If a week ago I wasn't sure like what I'm doing, I'm still not sure what I'm doing, but it feels right. I'm proud of myself, and I have so many ideas to do, and I try to do it. Like I built entire strategy for the podcast, something that is like, usually those kind of stuff I was thinking about producing or doing something, or like social media. I was starting to build strategy, but then I stopped, and here like in a few days I built an entire strategy. I built the branding for the podcast. I built, the small stuff, the online, the process of how to what should I need to do before each and every episode to have this small routine. If you have something you want to do right now and you're not sure if it's like the right path or not, maybe you should try to keep it for yourself for just the next few weeks until you actually have something in your hand that you can share with your friends. So that's my take on it. So today's topic is, what do we really want? I feel that many people find it very hard to know what they actually want. And for many people, it's even comes to the smallest thing as taking decisions on what they want to eat for dinner, where they want to go out, what type of people they want to hang out with, what type of career they want to pursue. Like there's so many decisions, from the smallest one as what I want to eat today, or what I want to do in 1 hour, or what book I want to read, or what music I want to listen, because sometimes even those kind of decisions can be hard, to the biggest ones of where I want to live, what type of career I want to pursue, where you want to study, what type of partner I'm looking for. All of these things eventually comes to one thing, and it's our desires. From what I learned, for many people, it's hard to know what they actually want because they don't know who they are. And I feel like every episode will come to this conclusion of, it's hard to know certain things if you don't know who you are. If you don't know who you are, it's harder to know what type of things you want to have in your life, because maybe you have things that you think you should want to have in your life. And maybe you have FOMO from your friends going there or doing this, or you see someone very successful and you're like, I want this too. But maybe this is not the specific thing that you want, but you see them as something that you think that you want this. There's the FOMO thing with the social media. Even in the times we didn't had social media, people still could have FOMO. It's not something that just born like the FOMO thing. It was always here, but in each area and each century, in each period of time, we have the own like thing that caused the FOMO in people's lives. So, if we'll go to our previous episode, we talked a little bit about the mindset you need to start in this entire journey of becoming the best version of yourself. I want to take this also to this episode. Eventually, if you want to know what you want and to actually be specific in your life and attract the things that you actually want, you need to have the right mindset in order to do that. Because if you don't believe that you can have everything that you want, it's also going to be hard to be specific with what you want, and maybe you feel like I'm not deserve of these things that I want, or there's many scenarios that can fall into this. But it should start from the mindset, of course. Then it's the journey of knowing yourself. And knowing yourself, for me, one of the best practices that made me learn myself better is learn how to work with my intuition. If you're not tuned with your intuition and with your inner voice, it will be very hard to know what you actually want. And I'll give you a small exercise that you can start from today in order to get to know yourself better and follow your intuition. So for me, intuition, it's the something that just doesn't make sense sometimes, and the way I can visualize it for you so it will be a little bit easier to understand what is intuition. It can be like you walking on the street right now. It's dark, and you're just looking at the stars, and suddenly out of nowhere you see a falling star. This falling star comes for just a few maybe like 1 second. You see the falling star, you'll be like amazed by how beautiful this falling star, and you'll be like, oh my god, this is like amazing. So there's the falling star that you see in the middle of nothing, in the middle of nowhere, something that actually surprised you. So that's how I would describe intuition. Something that comes from nowhere, excites you, that you feel like, oh my, like, wow, that's incredible. And it comes from nowhere. It can be even, like maybe you're thinking about your job right now, and then out of nowhere, you have intuition about, I don't know, where to go tonight, or a person you want to call to, something that is like super random. So that's my take on intuition. I'm very connected to my intuition, and throughout the years, I can always put my intuition into this box of the falling star. That's a great way to know what's your intuition. The second thing regarding intuition is to understand that it's something that you just need to start small. From very young age, when I started discovering the whole self-development, I think I was 14. My goal every year was to tune to my intuition and to follow my intuition. Every year for like 6 years, I used to write in my journals, I want to follow my intuitions. And every year I come to the end of the year and I was like, shit, I just didn't made it this year. I was close, but like, no, I didn't follow my intuition. So the first time that I actually was able to start understand and learning my intuition was when I decided to do like a small challenge with myself. I remember I started from the smallest thing. I started thinking about, for example, what I want to eat. And every time I had like the smallest intuition about something, or like the smallest intuition about where should I go. If I was walking on the street, instead of looking at the maps, I just let go everything and start walking based on what felt right. Even if it was in a place that I don't know the streets, I don't know where I'm at, I let myself just to go wherever I feel like. And I had this North Star in my head that I want to get from this place to this place in 30 minutes, or I don't know, 20 minutes. And I don't know the way, I don't know the routes there. And I want my intuition to guide me. And at the beginning, well, I felt so stupid because it took me a long time to get there. But every time I had like this something feeling of small voice in my head of do this, go there, do that, or eat this for lunch, eat this for breakfast, do this, or go there or put this music or take this. So I started listening to this, to my intuition in this, on the smallest things that I have in my daily life. And once I gained this confidence on the smallest thing, I start expand it, and I was able to a little bit more recognize my intuition and understand what it is when it is my intuition and when it's not. Then I had bigger stuff in my life and I followed my intuition, although it looked completely impossible. And after that time, I just realized, okay, I know how my intuition feels like. So just start from the smallest thing. In order to discover what you really want, you must understand that it comes from within. And I feel that many times, and I was there too, people like to talk to everyone else to try to understand what would be the right decision and what should be the right step to do. I was doing it for such a long time. I was talking to all my friends, to my family, to everyone possible that I met in order to like understand what do I really want? What's like the right decision? I used to try to talk to many people, maybe understand, do I want to go to university? Do I want to open a business? Do I want to go to real estate? Do I want to do this? And it was frustrating until I remember I had this one question. I'm actually very excited to share with you this question because it really made a lot of sense after I answered it a few times. So listen and write this down because this is one of the best, I think, tools in order to understand what you really want in your life. First of all, of course, you have to sit down, be with yourself and not with people, or you just have to find a quiet place or whatever makes you feel in peace and ask yourself this question. If you had all the time and money in the world and you didn't care about others people's opinion, what would you want to have or to do in your life right now? And I'll repeat it because it's such an important question. If you had all the time and money in the world and you didn't care about others people's opinion at all, what would you want to do or to have in your life right now? And I remember I asked myself this question once I was like 21 and I didn't know what I wanted to do in life because on the one hand, I wanted to open a sunglasses business. I had my first sunglasses business when I was 18 to 20. I was importing sunglasses back then, and I knew that I wanted to design my own collection. But when I started to do this and pursue this dream, then COVID hit, and I knew my contact in Italy told me that all the manufacturers, everything closed, and there's no one to talk to, and I should wait with it. And it took me a few like months to really release this dream, and was like, okay, this is not the time to do it. So I went and started working in sales back then and then marketing. And I knew that I learned marketing, started working in sales, and I study at the same time real estate investments in Israel. I had this vision that I know that I want to be a businesswoman, and in order to be a businesswoman, I need to do a few things. First, I knew that I need to know and master how to sell, and then I must know how to market. From all the books that I read, I was like, okay, this is two things I must know how to do, plus the experience I had with the previous business. I knew that I know how to market, but it's not enough. And I knew that I can sell stuff, but I felt like the word sell, selling something to someone really scared me. So I need to learn how to do it. After I realized that there's COVID and everything, I was started looking at different paths. And one of them was real estate. I really love real estate. I know I'm gonna do real estate at some point again. And I did my license to be a realtor here in Israel. I didn't end up being a realtor, but I learned real estate investments in Israel. Then I had the vision. I had a friend that learned real estate investments in the States. And it felt for me something that I can actually do. So I had the vision that I want to do that. It was like a 9-month program that I want to register to learn how to do all different types of investments there. At the same time, I had a dream, a small dream that I want to study in Reichman University. And for me, I never thought that I'll study in university, but when I was around 18, I think I heard the first time about the study track they have of entrepreneurship. And I was like, okay, if I'll ever go to university, it will be studying entrepreneurship because I feel that's what I want to do in life. Plus, I knew that they have the international track, and I was like, I want to get to know people all around the world. And also I had a different vision of I want to be an actress, maybe to learn film. I really love photography. I really love filming. So I had like many visions of stuff that I wanted to do. And when I was working in sales, I already knew a little bit about my intuition, like how to recognize it. And I had so many things that I desired and want. First, it was to master sales, which I did there, and then start working in sales in English to learn how to sell in English. I also had the desire to learn how to do real estate investments in the United States. I also had the desire to open Breeze again, the sunglasses brand. I had the desire to go to university, which I didn't tell anyone basically because I was, no, I feel I'm too old already because I was 21, 22 almost. And I was, this is too much for me. Although in Israel, everyone go to study at around 23, 24. I was like, I don't want to go to university. I'm too old for this. And I had the desire to learn. Oh, and I did 1 year of acting school when I was 19. So I had this a little bit of experience in acting. And I had the desire to maybe fly to New York or something and learn film and learn like being an actress or something. So I had a lot of desires. And I remember I was sitting one day and I registered for the university actually. I registered for the university, but I had in my mind that like I must learn the real estate investments before I do anything else. Because for me, it's like the fundamentals of business. I want to have the hands-on experience because it's like very hands-on, it's very practical things that they give you there. But I was registered to the university and I was working in sales. And I remember I was sitting at the beach and was trying to. I even like took 2 months apartment next to the beach just to think and to be try to be alone with myself and not be distracted by others people opinions because that's the easiest way. So I was doing journaling every day. I was going to the beach every sunset to think and to write and journal and to meditate even sometimes and work out and everything. And I just remember I asked myself this question. If I had all the money in the world right now, if I didn't care about others people's opinion, what do I want? What would I want to do right now? And I remember each and every time I asked myself these questions, the answer was I want to go to study in university in Reichman specifically in the international track. And I want to open my sunglasses brand again, Breeze. That's all I want to do. And oh, and I want to add to that story that when I registered for the first time to university, it was to the Israeli track because the international one is just way more expensive than the Israeli one, and like it wasn't possible. So every time I ask myself this question, that's the answer that I got. And I will not tell the entire story right now because it's a very long story, but eventually what happened is that I did everything. I did the real estate investments. I work in sales in English. I worked in marketing. I did like all the things that I wanted, almost all of them. And eventually like I ended up studying in the international track, the entrepreneurship business, and opening the sunglasses brand that I was dreaming of. It's still in progress. So I cannot still like say that I accomplished it, but I'm getting there. So that was something that for me was this question from now on is my north node, and I know that I can ask this question all the time and I'll get the right answer. But I must be at a quiet place. I must sit with myself. I must be distracted from others people opinions, from others people I don't know, conversations. I must sit with myself, journal, whatever, look at the beach, look at the sunset, and just ask myself this question and to see what I feel. The second thing in order to understand what you really want, I would say is establish routine. And I think this is something that people just don't talk about too much because eventually, like, okay, if I know what I like to know what I want, I need to be specific, I need to be this and that, which we'll talk about it just in a few minutes. But I feel that one of the most important things in order to actually know what you want is to have a routine in your life. If you don't have a routine and you feel like lazy or you wake up super late and then you wake up early and then you wake up again late and you just don't have that consistency of you feel that you accomplished something, because eventually when you have a routine, you feel that you accomplished something waking up at the same time every day, and even if it's night, like 6 and then 6:30 and then but be around those times or whatever works for you. For me 6 works amazing. Once you have that kind of routine, you sleep good, you eat well and everything, it is much easier to know what you want. Because if you don't have that consistency in your life, you might feel disappointed from yourself at certain things that you didn't do, or you feel lazy at certain areas in your life. You feel that you're not the best version of yourself when you don't have this routine. And the one thing that can actually distract you from knowing what you want is think what you should do. Because sometimes when you don't have the routine, you think you should do this, you should do that, you should do, you know, million different things. But it's harder to know what you actually want, because sometimes you feel overwhelmed with the things that you didn't accomplish, and you feel this feeling that you're not on top of all your things. So once you're on top of your life, basically, and it starts from the smallest routine that you have, it will be much, much, much easier to know what you want. And if you want to take it farther, the tools that can actually help you to know what you want is, first of all, journaling. Even if you just do it for the first time, I would just recommend start writing and documenting your entire day, documenting what you eat, what you said, what was your entire, I don't know, like the conversations you had. Just try to document everything, because sometimes journaling, people find it very overwhelming, because they're like, what should I write? What should I start writing? Like, I don't know how to write. I'm not a writer. You don't need to be a writer. You just need to start from something. And that's something for me is documenting what you did. So maybe you can start with, today I had this conversation with that person. One, two, three, four happened. This is what I felt. This is what I learned. This is what, and start documenting your life. Then it will start be easier, and you can start writing what you felt, how you feel, what you feel is lacking in your life, and you can just keep going from there. The second tool I would say is meditation. I've been doing meditations for consistently for 2 years. I started it like 3 years ago, and consistently is like every morning for the past 2 years. And it's by far the best tool that helped me to connect to myself and know what I want. Because I do it every morning for at least, like, I do between 10 minutes to 40 minutes. It depends. Sometimes I had periods of time I did 1 hour, 50 minutes, but around 30 minutes, I would say that's the average. And meditation, it's like the smallest thing that I just tune my mindset into clarity. So I start my morning, I have my morning routine. I have the same routine for, I don't know, 12, 13 years. The first thing that I do is make a coffee. No, before that, I drink a cup of water. Then I make coffee. Then I sit with my coffee and read a book for at least like 30 minutes. Then I meditate, and I meditate for 30 minutes. And then sometimes I work out. Sometimes, I do whatever feels right. Sometimes I'm on my phone too, that's happening. But I have this routine that is like built, and I know that no matter what's going to happen, like I have this routine. So meditation made me very clear about what I want. I try to think how to explain you how does it feels to meditate consistently, because eventually there's a difference between meditating like once in a while and meditate consistently. At times when I don't consistent with meditation, I feel that I'm not connected to myself. So this types of morning when I meditate, it feels like I just like cleared everything, and I'm tuned to my desires and to what I want, and to what feels right to me. I'll give you a hint to how like the meditation looks like. Usually I have something that I'm working on during the meditation. It can be like visualization that I have of certain things that I want. I think about it, and then I try to feel it in my entire body and see it and feel it, and try to ask questions during the meditation. I ask a lot of questions sometimes during the meditation. Once I ask questions and I get into this clarity situation inside the meditation, I get answers intuitively, and I tune to like my desires during the meditation. So that's what I do usually in the meditations. So we have journaling, we have the meditations. The third thing is get quiet, find yourself a peaceful place where you can just sit down and be with yourself. For the longest time, think since I'm 13, 14, I have a thing that I must devote to myself to have me time. at least a few hours every week. I cannot go through a week without having like the me time. When I was younger, it was I had a free day that I was like off phone for like 5, 6 hours. I used to go to the beach and just sit and write and read a book. Right now it's a little bit different. I have my morning routines. If I don't have the morning routine, it will be really hard for me to be connected to myself. So I must have it. Also, like I try the night routines, also like to try to have the me time. And usually right now it's on weekends because I work the entire week and it's full of things that I need to accomplish. Usually my weekends right now is just chill. Saturday from the morning until like the entire Saturday, I don't like to schedule anything. I just love to have it the entire day for myself. And when I have a really busy week, I try to not schedule anything on Saturday. Maybe if I want to see a friend, I will see on Friday. Or if I'll schedule with a friend on Saturday, it will be only with one friend. Because if I'll have like plenty of friends on Saturday, I know that it will drain me eventually because I need this me time. And I love being around friends. It makes me feel alive. But at the same time, I know that if I don't have this me time, this quiet time to just sit, look at the, I don't know, whatever, read a book, write something, plan my week, go for a walk. I love to do on weekends like 2 hours walk. For me, that's the time I reconnect with myself. Running is also a great thing. That will be like the fourth thing. Running, walking. I did 4 half marathons. I don't run as much as I used to because I injured like almost 2 years ago, and it took time to go get back. And now I am like more a walk person. But running for me was like a huge thing. Every time I needed to clear my mind, I went for a run. And for like 10 kilometers, 8 kilometers, it could be even, it depends like on the situation, but it helped me to clear my mind and reconnect to myself. And yeah, so we have this four things. I would say journaling, meditations, get quiet, get yourself the me time, and find your time for walks, running, whatever makes you feel this reconnection. For some, it can be driving, I know. For some, it can go to the gym. Find this things that help you to reconnect with yourself and make it something that you always have in your schedule, like every week. It doesn't have to be like actually in the schedule, but make sure it's something that is part of your life. And of course, just remember that if you don't have a routine, you can feel overwhelmed. You can feel that you out of track, and it will be much, much harder to like connect to yourself and know what you want. And now, after we connected to ourselves, we are in tune with ourselves, we have the routine, we have everything going on amazingly. Some people find it hard to still know what they want, or they think that they want things and then it never manifested in their life, and they kind of start to be skeptical about the things that they can actually achieve. So one of the things that I love to ask people, I want to be that kind of person who helps people to to match between peoples and couples. I'm not there yet. I matched only between one couple and they broke up. But it's something that I want to do. So every time I meet a new person, every time I ask them what they're looking for in a partner, because I know a lot of people. So in my vision, it's like if I'll ask everyone that is single what they want in their relationship, what kind of partner they want, maybe at some point I can like match between people. And I feel that a lot of people just don't know what they want in a partner. Maybe people say, yeah, I want love. I want my dream partner. I want the love of my life. I want to have my best friend. But like, what does it mean? What does it mean to feel loved in a relationship? What does it mean to have your best friend as a partner? What does it mean? Be specific. And even try to be specific sometimes can be very hard. I have goals for the year and I read them today before the podcast to try to see like what I did for the upcoming year and what things were specific and what not. And this time I tried to do it like very, very specific, and it feels different. It feels different because like I can actually feel it and understand what I want. So let's say you want to have your perfect partner. You want to be in love with your best friend. You want to feel that you're appreciative. You want to feel that, I don't know, like it's everything that you ever wanted. But now let's break it down. What does it mean feel loved by, like, what for you does it mean to feel loved? maybe for me, feel loved, it's X, and for you, it's Y. The word itself sometimes means different things to other people. So I remember I had an argument with my father, like it was around 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And he told me, you don't do this. I said, you don't do the, and I say, I do this, and you just don't see it. And I remember we had this nonstop argument about stuff, about the same thing for years. And then I just remember that I stopped and I asked him, what is your definition for this? And then I realized that his definition is completely different from my definition. Like my definition, what he said, for me, it's like the opposite of this definition. And once we realized we have completely different definitions, it was easier to communicate and understand what each one of us need. So you want to feel loved. What does it mean for you to feel loved? Be specific. You feel loved when your partner gives you flowers every Friday. Maybe you feel loved when he texts you every morning. Maybe you feel loved when your partner surprise you once in a while. Maybe you feel loved by the small things every day, that he remembers things that you told him or she told you, it can be the opposite. But what does it mean feel loved for you? What does it mean to be happy for you? So for example, maybe someone have a desire like, I want to be healthy. And I had this thing, this goal that I wrote for a really long time, like when I was a teenager. I want to start my morning drinking hot water with lemon, and then I want to drink celery juice, and then I want to drink this, and then I want to drink a smoothie, and then I want to exercise. And I had like this things that I really really wanted in my life. And then once I actually did it at some point, I hated it. Like I actually hated it because it just made me feel awful. And I remember I was bloated. I remember like I gained weight. It just wasn't like the routine that I wanted. All I eventually wanted is to feel energized, to feel super healthy, to feel that I am at the best shape of my life. And that looked different from what I thought it is. That eventually looked completely different. It was like, yeah, I was eating fruits in the morning, but I was drinking coffee before that. Or I was drinking like a glass of water instead of like lemon and water. Or, so I had like this thing that I thought is the right way for me. But eventually the thing was what I was looking to feel in this, goal. I want to say another thing. For everyone, it can look different. I remember I had this conversation with a friend a few weeks ago, and she told me regarding like goals that I wrote. I was like telling her about my goals, and she told me that for her, writing like, I want to have X in 4 months, or to have this money in in a few weeks or few months. And she told me something very important. She told me it feels like very masculine energy to set goals like this, because I want to feel feminine. I don't want to feel masculine. And like, it's very masculine energy to put goals and write them like that. And then I remember I sat down and looked at my goals again. And I remember looking at them, and I realized that it doesn't feel right for me too. Like to write, every time I wrote, I want to, I don't know, have X money in, I don't know, X, Y month. It just didn't feel right for me. And not because I didn't want to manifest this or to actually achieve this in my life, but because the way I wrote it, it just didn't feel right. So I restructured my entire goals to different way of writing. And I was writing them like, what do I want to experience? And then I wrote everything that I wanted. Then I wrote, how do I want to feel when I have it? I wrote everything that I want to feel. And then I defined what does it mean. For example, if I want to feel, if I want to have this in my life, I want to have financial success. So what does it mean for me, financial success? And I wrote down like everything that came to my mind and felt for me that this is financial success. And I was specific eventually with the numbers and things that I wanted, but I broke it down to took the label of like financial success, let's say, or like different stuff, and I broke it down to what does it mean for me, financial success. Because ending with just, I want to earn $10,000 a month, for example, it just doesn't have the emotions and feelings. It doesn't mean anything to me. So I broke down, what does it mean to me? How do I view it? And for me, this is much more specific. And if it's hard for you to start, be specific with the things you desire, I would start small too in this case. So let's say you're going for a run today. Be specific. I want to go for 1 hour workout. From this 1 hour, I want to run 35 minutes. I wish to run, I don't know, let's say 6 kilometers, okay? And I want to feel XYZ. Why do I do it? And give yourself a reason why are you doing this. And this is like very specific. But as I said, you can take the more feminine side and say, why do I want to feel it? Why does it's very important for me to achieve this, to accomplish it? Because I want to feel powerful. I want to feel energized. I want to start my day in a good way. I want to feel that I'm unstoppable. So give yourself the reasons why you want to achieve it after you were like specific with the numbers and everything. And another thing that I want to talk about is fear and resistance. So something that I heard just last week, and it really changed my entire perception. I heard someone said, I manifest very quickly. That's why I go to therapy in order to be very specific with what I want and to know what I want. So I don't have like anything that I'm not aware of. Once you said it, I was like, okay, that sounds very familiar to me because I know that I can achieve things very quickly, but at the same time, there's things that I don't achieve and I see the opposite results sometimes. So, what I did this week, and it actually made me feel so much more powerful and change my perception. And already after I did this exercise, I saw the result of it like happening in front of my eyes. So, that was cool. I wrote down all the fears that I have right now. I had like this week, I felt very stressful. So, instead of holding the stress and just hoping that I don't have I will not go through the fears and don't face them. I wrote all my fears down and started to recognize what scares me the most there. What do I feel in my body? And I wrote all of them. And then on the opposite side, I wrote what do I want to feel and attract into my life. Once I knew what I fear of, it was much easier to define what I want in my life. Okay. And many times we have fears around certain things in our life, and maybe we don't know what exactly we want. So identify what your fears are, be very specific, like go into details. I fear of this and that, and disappoint this person, and do that, and I don't know, lose that. Be very, very, very specific. And then on the opposite time, write what do you want that will happen instead of this. So write down everything that you want, and it will be easier to know and identify it, and then start to focus on what you want instead of the fears. This is a very powerful tool that can help you understand what you want. And the second thing is resistance. And many times people fear of resistance, and something that I learned very early in life, and I'm so grateful for this. Every time I have resistance towards something, I actually do the opposite and go through this resistance. So for example, I know from a very young age that I want to be very, very successful. So for me, that was taking the opportunities. As I told you last episode, we talked about the mindset of I want to be the best version of myself. So that means that I'll take certain opportunities that I wouldn't take if that wasn't my mindset. So I had things in my life, plenty of things that I just didn't feel it just like, I don't know, like I had this resistance. I had a strong resistance towards sales, very strong resistance. The word sale was so frightening that I was actually like I didn't want to touch it, to do it. I just didn't want to get to know people who work in sales. For me, were like the worst people ever. And once I realized that I have a strong resistance there, I was like, no, Bari, stop. You now need to stop everything that you do and go learn how to sell. Because if you want to be a businesswoman, you cannot have the resistance towards sales. So that's what I did. And actually it was so scary. It was so scary to start and go sell. I remember like the first month I was thankfully it was COVID, so like everyone was at home, and the job that I had, it was I could drive there, so it was open. So I took it as a project. All I did all day long was sales in the morning. Then at night, I used to take the recordings from the sales and actually analyzing them. And in the morning, I used to write the new script that I want to say and work on the energy that I have. And it was like a constantly learning journey for at least 1 to 3 months. I was like in this very deep. And after 2 months working in sales, I became the top salesperson in my team. And the first month was horrible, right? The second month, I was the top salesperson in my team. The third month, I was the top salesperson in the entire company, which was incredible. I used to sell a lot. It was something that I felt like, and also I was the only salesperson who sold without discounts, which was a huge thing. So I had this huge resistance, and now it became something that I'm very good at, and it's a power that I have. I have many more examples about resistance, but I will say another one. So when I was 18, I discovered that I'm not Jew, and I am Jew. Okay, like my mom is. Okay, my father is Jew from both sides. His parents born in Israel and they're been in Israel for hundreds of years. My mom is from Moscow and she made Aliyah when she was 13 because in Russia back then it was very bad for Jews. So I never in my mind thought that my mom is not Jewish. It's like if she made Aliyah from Russia to Israel because they hated Jews. So of course I'm Jew. Like I never had this thought that I'm not. But apparently, when I was 18, I realized that I went to IDF when I was 18. And at the IDF, you can actually have I would say like a course of 3 months at the beginning or during the service. And you can actually do the conversion, like to become Jewish. So I did it. I discovered like literally like a few months before I joined the IDF. And I did the conversion process in the army. It's much easier, and for me I didn't had the time even to think about it. Like my father told me it and told me about it, and the next morning he told me like the evening before we had like to register for the course. So I didn't had time to think about it, and I was like, okay, let's just do it. Worst case, I just would not go through the process. And I had resistance toward a few things. Back then, I had strong resistance toward Russians. I grew up very Russian, like my entire childhood. And then around like, I don't know, 14, 13, I kind of like started to have this rebellious towards like Russians. And I was like, no, I want to be Israeli. So, and many Russians went to this course. So I had resistance toward Russian. I was like, oh my God, I want to be with so many Russians right now. And it's funny because I speak Russian fluently, and I have family in Russian and everything. And the second thing was I became spiritual also before that. And I had resistance toward religious people. For me, it was like, I just don't get it. There's universe, there's energy, there's this. I just don't get it. And not like like the more Haredim. Like I really had more Haredim. I had like very resistance toward them. And I was like, I need to now go through the process and I need to be like religion for a few months. Like that's for me is insane. And I grew up in Tel Aviv. It's like the most hipster city to grow up in. And I just decided that I'm gonna do it because I need to decide now. And I don't have the time to decide. So I was like, I decide, worst case, I'll just don't finish it. And this entire, like in Hebrew, it's giyur. I don't know if you speak Hebrew or English, but it's called giyur, conversion. So the entire process, I had a thing that each morning and each evening, I had my notebook, and I used to, before the army, before the course, I used to write thank you and gratitude toward things that I want in my life and everything I have in my life. And so I had this notebook, and 15 minutes every morning, 15 minutes every night, I used to read and say thank you about things that I have in my life. And then during the course, the Giyur, I remember we studied like Torah for the entire day, from the morning till the night, and we prayed 3 times a day. So during each prayer that we went to the synagogue, I took my notebook, and there's like a certain prayer in the Torah that calls Tfilat Shmona Esrei. And in the Tfilat Shmoneh you read and you think about things in your life, and then you have period that you can just say whatever you want and just pray with closed eyes or whatever feels right to you. And I took my notebook and I was reading it during like the Tfilat Shmoneh, and I found something very special there. It's a whole story for itself, you know. I wanted to talk about it for just a little bit regarding resistance, but the entire Giyur and regarding like course and everything, at the beginning I had so much resistance, and then when I let go of everything, that was one of the best times I had spiritually in my life. Not because of the religion, because I felt enlightened there. After like, I would say 1.5 months in the Giyur, I had one weekend that I had something very similar to near-death experience. I didn't die, like nothing happened. Everything was amazing, but I had like the same experience as people have when they're telling they have near-death experience. I saw the white light. I saw a tunnel that I went up, and I felt something that I never felt in my entire life. And I felt that I was like in a different completely scenario. That's the entire story. Like, I don't want to touch it right now too much, but before that, I had a question that went for me for almost 2 years. I was asking all the time, do I believe in God? Like, what is God for me? Because I very believed in energy. I believed in the universe and the cosmos. And like, I very believed in energy, but I didn't know what for me God means, and religion and everything. And I was very fascinated in discovering the truth, to know it, to like actually experience the truth and understand like what's the difference, how this world works. And it's something that I was like so passionate about understanding this. And once I went to this conversion course and become Jewish to become Jewish, that's funny that like I had to go through it. I had the most spiritual experience I ever had in my entire life to understand what the truth is. And from that period on, after I had this experience, I never afraid from death. I realized why I'm here in this life. When I came back, I forgot. Like, you don't remember things that you've been told there, but I knew that I have a reason that I'm here. I knew it's not my time, and I felt strong, like certainty that I'm here to do something big. And I just realized how this world and this entire world works. Once I had this experience, after like I came back, I would say, I wrote everything down. I wrote 10 pages in my notebook, something that I barely read since then, because it was like I tried to like analyze and understand this entire experience. But I had strong resistance toward religion. And once I leaned in, I discovered one of the biggest things that I wanted to discover. So resistance many times is something we just need to lean in and just go through it. Through resistance, we have the best things that we can't even imagine. So if you have resistance, just lean in and just go through it. If you have fear though, fear is something that you like actually scared, like it scares the shit out of you. So if you have a fear, just write it down, label it, and write the opposite thing from your fear. And let's touch just a little bit about the power of manifestation. About a year ago, last summer, I lost my watch. And it's a watch, golden watch of Gucci that my father bought my mom when they got engaged. And they divorced, so I got the watch and I have it. I wear it if you see the videos, so I have the watch here. I wear it every day. I love this watch. And I was at the beach. It was in Tel Aviv, Thursday night at the beach, and I lost the watch there. I realized it only in the next morning. And because I have this kind of mindset that I can achieve everything that I want, the first thing that I did once I realized that I actually want to somehow manifest this watch, I sat down for a 1 hour meditation. Instead of going to the beach looking for the watch, I sat for a 1 hour meditation to imagine. And before I sat to the meditation, I was very specific with what I want. I want to find the watch. I wanted to work well. I wanted to look exactly the same. I don't want it to, look ugly, whatever. I want to find it. I don't want to, because I found it, the exact same watch. I could buy it vintage somewhere. I was like, no, I want to find the exact same watch at the beach today. Today, I want to find it. And I have no clue how, but I believe it is possible. And I told myself I wanted to be easy. I wanted to feel easy and to have this watch back. So then I sat to the meditation. I felt the watch back. I felt like it's in my hand. I saw it. I saw like how I pull it from the sand and everything. Then the next thing I did post a Facebook post, and then I went to the beach, of course, to look for the watch. I don't know if I should say it. It was summer. It was, I think, August or September. I don't really, or July. I don't remember the month, but let's say the beach was full and it was Friday morning. And the post that I had on Facebook, everyone commented there like, "Or poor girl, like she would not find it, but I wish someone would help her, and like good luck, and I lost something and I have a friend and whatever, whatever, whatever." And I was like, no, I'm gonna find this watch. So I looked for like 1 hour for the watch in the sand, and it was like the front beach. It was very next to where you have the water. So it's like it's hard to find it. I went to the lifeguard. He said that he didn't see anything, and good luck finding a gold watch in Tel Aviv at the beach. And the entire day I was listening to meditations. I was imagining it. I had a picture of the watch. I was looking at it like the entire day. Later that night, I went back to the beach to look for the watch. I was at the beach around 3 hours. Okay, I was looking. I was doing with my leg at the sand. I was trying to look for the watch, and like I was so sure that I'm gonna find it, and I was looking and I didn't find anything. I was asking people, Did you see a watch? Did you see a watch?" And then after like 2 hours, I was like, "I'm done. Like, no, I'm not gonna find it." And I said, maybe I'll just sit and wait to the people with the metal detector, because many of them come to the beach at night on weekends. I was like, maybe I'll find some person that has it, and maybe I'll find the watch. And there was one that came and he was next to me. And it was after I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I finished. It was after 3 hours. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna find it. And I tried to find the peace. It's fine to release this watch. It's a new beginning for me. Like, it's a great time. All this mantras that I was telling to myself, like, it's good to release and to lose it and whatever. And after like 30 minutes that this guy with the metal detector was next to me, I was talking to a friend on the phone, and he told me, come on, like, you're here for a few hours. Just ask him. Just ask him, like, why should you now give up on this? And I told him, no, but like, I need, maybe this is the test. Like, I need to release it and I need to let go. And then I was like telling him like the entire day of, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find the watch. You're gonna see, I'm gonna find the watch. And I don't know, I just felt shame to disappoint him, because I was like telling him the entire day that I'm gonna like find the watch, and then like I give up when I have this person with the metal detector. So I approached to the metal detector, and he was actually coming, like he was literally like 1 meter next to me. It was crazy. And after 5 minutes, we found the watch. So that was insane story. So manifestation basically is the ability to turn your desires into reality by aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with what you truly want. To find a golden watch, Gucci golden watch, okay, vintage one, very beautiful, at Tel Aviv, 24 hours after I lost it at the front beach. This is something that, it's hard. It's not something that is normal to find. So if we look at manifestations, I have my desire. I was very specific. I had my thoughts. I was very, very specific. Also, I tried not to talk to people at that day, because I didn't want people to distract me from what I want. And it's very easy for friends or family to distract you and be skeptical about stuff, and then it changed your thoughts. So I was kind of like locked down with myself, listening to meditations, talked only to my mom, to that friend, and nothing more than that. So I align my thoughts with my desire, my emotions. Every time I meditate, I really felt like I have this watch on my hand. I also like put a bracelet on my hand just to feel like I have something, in order to actually have the feeling. Then I align my actions. I went to the beach the first time. Then I didn't give up, and I went again at night. And I was looking until I was like, felt that I couldn't search anymore. So I line my everything here. And just to give you the steps so you can have it, if you don't know like the steps to manifestation, we'll have another episode about it, of course. But get clear with what you want, define exactly what you want. The more specific, the better. As we said, know your desires, visualize and feel it. It's something that's very important. Like if you don't have the feeling, and many people miss it, I missed it for many years. In order to manifest something in your life, eventually you have the thoughts and then you have the feelings combined with behavior, your actions. It must all align, okay? So you cannot just hold your thoughts and think that you will manifest that certain things. No, you must align also the right emotions and connect them to your thoughts. So every time you think about the certain things, you must align and connect to the right emotions. And then, of course, act on it. So get clear, then visualize and feel it. Third thing, believe it's possible. If you don't have the mindset that it's possible, it will be very hard to achieve and manifest what you want in your life. And as I said, it all starts from the mindset of I can achieve everything that I want in my life. The mindset of I will be better and better version each and every day of my life, and I'll do it, and believe in this mindset. If you don't have this mindset, it will be very hard. And sometimes you will need to distract yourself from certain people that will have a negative effect on you once you try to believe it. So try to keep to yourself certain things can actually very be beneficial in the long term. So if your group of friends or your family will not understand the thing that you really believe in certain in, until it's not like something you know that even you if people will judge you or think differently or send you like negative energy, until you know that you're certain that you hold this belief and you actually believe in it, don't tell people. Don't tell people and just hold it. I believe that I'll achieve everything that I want. That's why I don't mind to like talk about stuff that I want, because like it's something that it's so rooted in me. Like I know that I'm gonna achieve everything. I know it. Like there's no I don't care what you're gonna say. I don't care what my parents gonna say. I don't care what my friends gonna say. Like I know it. Period. Even if the how isn't clear yet, still you need to believe it's possible. The fourth thing, take inspired actions. So as I said, I went to the beach. I did the meditation. I like it. It would never end with just meditation. Like I would never find this watch. Maybe it could happen, but like you need to take the actions in order to manifest it. And this is also like very connected to the intuition, to be connected to yourself and to be very specific with the what you want. Otherwise, it will be hard to know what type of action you need to take. But many times like the intuition and this gut feeling, this inner voice will tell you what's the next steps to do. And you can always ask yourself questions. It's the number one for me tool to actually know what I want. When I ask question, the answer will come always. So try asking questions. It will be much easier. And the fifth thing is stay open and patient. So many times it's hard to stay patient once you don't see the results. For me, when I was looking for the watch, still believe after one hour to look for the watch, and it's like you need a lot of patience in order to receive what you want. It's never something that you will just see in a second. For example, I want this thing, and instead of thinking where will I get it, I'll just tell myself, okay, I'm gonna get it in 30 days, and then be in the emotion of I'm getting it in 30 days. And it will be easier because eventually, like if you want something or you getting something and you already have it in your life, but it takes time until it will be delivered. For example, you bought the perfect couch, or you just sign a lease for the perfect house you want to live in. It's not that the exact second you sign the lease or the exact second you bought the couch, you will have it. It will take maybe a few days, maybe a few weeks. So be in the feeling that it's like, it's not here yet, but I know it's mine. That kind of feeling will be very good for manifestation. And I just want to say regarding the upcoming things we have to this podcast. So it was very important for me to do it as fast as possible to like organize everything and start this podcast, because I want to take you on the journey of building the life that you want during 2026. We are at the end of 2025. That's crazy how time flies. And soon I'm recording this podcast probably much earlier than you're going to hear it. So I'm not sure yet what's the date, but I'm sure it's going to be around this week that the podcast is going to release. We're going to start challenge for the upcoming year to reflect on what we had. I will try to make it as easy as possible for you to step into the best version you can be and help you to go through this journey as simple as it possibly can. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be very fun. I don't know what's going to be the concept. Maybe I'll add like more episodes during the week, but short ones just for the 2026 series. Maybe, I don't know. We need to see how I'm going to do it, but there's going to be like a few things that I'm going to release on the social media platform. So stay tuned for that. And if you love this episode so far, feel free, and more than feel free, like help me to get to more people, help me to become better. If you have any comments, anything you want to say, really feel free to tell me. Like if it's not like, something that I have nothing to do with to do, so just keep it to yourself. But if I have if there is something you want to tell me and I can actually take your words and implement it and make something better, so please tell me. Also, I would love to hear your thoughts, and if you have anything you want to share regarding like this episode and the previous ones. Follow the platforms that I'm sharing this podcast and the social accounts. I have the Instagram account 100% you and my personal account Bari Burrell. I'd love to see you in the next episodes. Thank you for listening for today. Hope to see you next week. Enjoy your day and week. See you next time. Bye.